Evening, everybody. I will call to order the Arvada City Council meeting for today, Monday, August 12th, 2024. Ms. Rush, if you'll do the roll call, please. Here.
Here.
Here. Here. Here.
Here.
Councilmember Pfeiffer.
I'll make the motion to excuse Councilmember Marriott from tonight's workshop.
All right. If everyone will cast their votes. All votes are cast. That passes 6-0. Councilmember Marriott is an excused absence. All right. We have two workshops this evening, beginning with our Colorado Department of Transportation 101 presentation. I'm sure this will be very fun for you, Mr. Pfeiffer. Who will be introducing this item?
Good evening, Mayor Don Wick. I'll be introducing the item tonight. So tonight we have a presentation with some great partners that we work with at CDOT, and I'll introduce them briefly, and then they can introduce themselves as they come up. But tonight we have Jessica Michaelbust, who is the Region 1 Transportation Director. She's going to be joined by Angie Drum, who is the Deputy Director of Traffic and Safety Operations, and Crystal Armendariz, who is the Local Government Liaison, and they are here with us tonight to share information about CDOT. And with that, I will turn it over to Jessica and team.
And just while they're walking up, Jessica and Angie are neighbors up in Line Rock and where are you at? Five Parks. That's what I thought. I was going to say Whisper Creek, but there are Arvadans.
Yay, we love that.
I'm from Commerce City.
Oh, sorry.
That's also good.
And you served on council
I
out there.
served on council in Commerce City from 2011 to 2019.
Well, thank you for your service to your
Yes.
community.
Thank you, thank you. All right, we're on, right? Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council and staff. Thank you so much for having us this evening. As you see, we have a 101 presentation, but we also have some information on Region 1 specifically. And so I'll just kick off this meeting. I'm sorry, I'll kick off this meeting. See, I was doing a council thing. I will kick off this presentation. First off, let's see, it's the green button, correct? Right arrow, oh, sorry. There we go. Okay, so just, oh, wow, okay, went too quick there. Go back. Okay, take two. All right, so this is just a brief overview of our vision, mission, and values. So I just wanted to start off by sharing this. Our vision is to enhance the quality of life and the environment of the citizens of Colorado by creating an integrated transportation system that focuses on safely moving people and goods. Our mission is to provide the best multimodal transportation system for Colorado that most effectively and safely moves people, goods, and information. And then our values, I'll just touch on those, our safety, people, integrity, customer service, excellence and accountability, and of course, respect. Okay, so just a little bit about myself. So as the local government liaison, my role is to be a resource to the local elected officials when they or their constituents have questions or concerns regarding CDOT or CDOT projects. And CDOT created the liaison program to provide a direct link between the department and the elected officials, as the impacts of transportation issues are mostly felt at the local level. And of course, you already have my contact information. I think I might have emailed you a few times for some information over the last year or so that I've been in this role. But there's a link to look at what my counterparts, the legislative liaison and the other local government liaison that covers regions 3, 4, and 5 do as well. All right, make sure I have my notes with me so I don't go off script. So this is just a snapshot of what CDOT does. We're responsible for the Colorado highway system, encompassing 9,072 centerline miles with 23,134 total lane miles. Our maintenance crew plowed more than 6 million lane miles last winter season, which of course you think about now, winter's not too far away, right? Because we're in scorching temperatures, but come October, November, we'll be seeing some snowfall, I think. Just a quick fact that Colorado's aviation system includes 76 public use airports. There are over 3,000 bridges and other major structures throughout the state highway system. CDOT also helps maintain and monitor 278 avalanche paths. And lastly, Bustang, CDOT's interregional bus service, provided over $1.9 million revenue, $1.9 million revenue service miles in fiscal year 2023. Now, this is just a map of the Transportation Commission districts. So the first 4 that are highlighted, districts 1, 2, 3, and 4, are within Region 1. And as you see, we have our District 11 that is vacant. These positions are actually appointed by the governor. And so while we are patiently awaiting for a replacement in District 11, you can rest assured that 1 through 4 are definitely covered with the current transportation commissioners. And next we have our CDOT engineering regions. So we are in Region 1. And so this map reflects the 5 engineering regions. And as noted on here, that Region 1 works closely with DRCOG in transportation planning in the region. So the engineering regions are an important part of implementing transportation infrastructure projects. Now, I know you received this information prior to this evening. This is just a snapshot of where do CDOT funds come from. So basically, just a brief overview of the various slices in this funding pie, as I like to refer to. So you see that our federal programs carry the most funding, where we have the $832.9 million. Then we have our Highway Users Tax Fund, which is at $588.3 million. And these are fuel taxes and fees, vehicle registrations, traffic penalty revenue, faster and retail delivery fees. Then we have our Bridge and Tunnel Enterprise at $152.9 million. Faster fees, bridge impact fee, retail delivery fees as well. Our aeronautics actually carries a nice hefty sum of $65.0 million, which is generated from state aviation fuel tax. Other state funds total $70.4 million, which include multimodal, state safety education, capital construction fund, state infrastructure, bank, miscellaneous revenue from permits, interest, etc. And then other CDOT enterprises at $87.8 million. And I won't read all of that, but this is more for your reference. This changes frequently, so if there's any time that you would like to see if there's an update to this, you feel free to definitely email me. Staff can reach out to me and I can provide that information. And next, just a continuation of the pie. I won't go through each one, but you can see the significant amount of $40.8 million is our 40.8%, sorry about that, capital construction. Okay, next. So just want to touch on the CDOT's 10-year plan. So this is a high-level overview of this 10-year plan, which consists of a 4-year funded plan, 6 years of other project priorities. This 10-year plan includes strategic pipeline of projects, 1,000 plus lane miles touched, 15 rehabilitated or new transit facilities, and a focus on taking care of our systems. Over 50% of the funds go to improving the condition of our roadway system. And the full 10-year plan, I do have a link there, but if you should need information on that, I'm happy to provide that as well. And then just a quick review of that CDOT has made significant progress to catch up on to catch up on critical road and bridge repairs and travel options, relieving traffic choke points, make critical safety improvements, and bring transit to new corners of the state.
Quickly, is there a way to shrink this slide? I want to make sure the voter or the constituents at home, viewers at home, the viewers at home have the ability to see all of it's cut off there.
And that might have happened with a conversion from Google Slides to PowerPoint, and I thought I thought I
Yes,
caught that, but I
there are-
apologize. And I can definitely send another copy, if an amended copy if
Perfect.
necessary. But I'll read those. Where did I leave off at? Oh, the few highlights. So CDOT has completed 54 projects to date, with an additional 40 projects currently under construction. And 100% of the projects in the first 4 years are complete or under construction. And over half of the full 10-year plan is now complete or in progress. And with progress on the 10-year plan well underway, CDOT will continue building the connections to keep our state thriving. So I'll just read those. Denver Metro Region at a glance. So we've got 18 projects that were completed in 2023. Projects that are underway are 34, and then we have projects to begin in 2024, totaling 21. Okay. All right. So here's a list of the statewide key accomplishments, and I believe you received a copy of this last fall when I sent this out, but if not, happy to provide this information if needed. And so I've already said a few of these on the previous slide, but it's pretty impressive, this list, considering the magnitude of responsibilities that CDOT has, but funding mechanisms are key in these project accomplishments. So I'll just go over a few of them. 122 total projects completed, 73.5 million grant funding won. Let's see, I'll skip down to 818 rural miles improved, 661 million awarded to contractors. And I already mentioned about the lane miles plowed, but overall, this is something that we're very proud as an organization and continue to strive to do better. And so with that, we can't do that without our local agency partners and other community partners as well. So, and with that, I will turn this over to Jessica Mickelbus, the Region 1 Transportation Director. Thank you.
Welcome, Ms.
Thanks,
Mickelbus.
Crystal. Good evening, Council. Good evening, Mayor. Thank you so much for having us tonight. We really appreciate in Region 1 our relationships that we have with Arvada. We regularly meet with Don and his team and Jacqueline and really appreciate all of the information sharing that we have together. So happy to be here. I'm also an Arvada native. Went to Arvada Junior High School, Peck Elementary. So all the schools I went to are closing, and I hope that doesn't continue to be a theme. But love Arvada. So looking at the state, Crystal really talked about kind of the overarching CDOT as a state agency, and I'm going to dive us down deep into Region 1 and who we are and what we do and a bit of our project portfolio. So as you can see on the map, the orange square there, we are small in size, but we are mighty in people. So we carry the majority of the lane miles traveled, with 39 million miles a day traveled on Region 1 roads, and that's about 166 trips to the moon every single day. So if you can imagine, we have about 750 employees. About 400 of those are maintenance, professional maintainers. So each of those professional maintainers have about 100 miles of road each that they're responsible for taking care of. So imagine being responsible for 100 miles of road, what signs are down, which stripes need to be replaced, where are their potholes, where are their customer constituents calling in. So we do a lot of work every day. We have 8 counties that we serve, and if you go alphabetically, Arapahoe, Adams, Broomfield, Clear Creek, Douglas, Denver, Gilpin, and Jeffco. And we have 56 local agencies just like yourselves. So we have a really big customer service base, and we really strive hard to connect with all of our customers. We have 5 engineering programs inside of Region 1, and the one for Arvada is West program. So Gianna Spiker-Brink, she's presented before at some meetings, and so she's your engineer contact for Region 1. So Crystal introduced the 10-year plan. The 10-year plan is our North Star. That is where we look when we have projects we need to deliver, when we're doing project prioritization. After we work through kind of our bread and butter projects, all of our asset maintenance and just kind of fix it first philosophy, we move into kind of our larger project portfolio from the 10-year plan. So in Region 1's 10-year plan, I just wanted to highlight a few that are of note. So the I-70 West Floyd Hill, which is Veterans Memorial Tunnels to Floyd Hill, Hill is currently under construction. If you drive to the mountains, in the summer, you've seen construction. If you drive to the mountains to go skiing, you've seen construction. If you want to get live updates, I always take the opportunity to say you can sign up for text messages. We are in the middle of rock blasting right now. So we are currently doing highway holds. So you can avoid those by signing up for our text message and not sit on the highway for 20 minutes. So you text all lowercase Floyd Hill, one word, to 21,000 to 1000. It's a fantastic way that we've been communicating on this major project. So this project will eliminate bottlenecks at the bottom of Floyd Hill, those old bridges and infrastructure. It will add a managed lane, and it really does a lot of safety improvements for both freight and recreational travelers. The Eisenhower Johnson Memorial Tunnel does sit within Region 1. It is one of our assets, and there's a picture on the bottom there. It just celebrated its 50th anniversary birthday, and with anything that's 50, it does require a little bit of extra TLC. So we are working on upgrading the grout within the tunnel, the driving surface within and around the tunnel. The actual tunnel is kind of a different asset because it's more of a building. It's more of a vertical structure instead of like a horizontal structure like we're used to with transportation. So it has an HVAC system, it has plenum, it has fans. It's a really very articulate piece of artwork. And since it was constructed 50 years ago, we're making a major investment to keep that. It is a lifeline for freight and goods and services across the state and the nation. I-270 improvements is I-25 to I-70. We're evaluating preferred alternatives through the National Environmental Policy Act, NEPA, currently. We are looking at 2 final alternatives plus a no-action alternative. So we have a lot of public meetings. If you're interested in attending those, let us know. We can get you signed up. US 6 Wadsworth Boulevard interchange, we were really excited to partner with the city of Lakewood, and we won a $20 million RAISE grant toward that interchange replacement. Long awaited, that environmental assessment was completed in the early 2000s, so really much needed project, big safety improvements. And then Angie Drum, Director of Traffic and Safety, her team is leading the region-wide arterial bus and rapid transit. So CDOT is really aggressively pursuing bus and rapid transit as an alternative mode for travelers in the Denver metro area, understanding we can't just widen our way out of congestion. So one of our top corridors that's kind of moving ahead, first and foremost, is the Federal Boulevard corridor, which goes through Westminster, Federal Heights, Denver, and I think that's it. So that one's Adams County, thank you. I was missing one. So we have the Federal Boulevard corridor, and then close behind on its heels are the Colorado Boulevard corridor for BRT, bus and rapid transit service.
Would you know the other 3 now, or are those still being mapped?
The other 3, so Denver has the Colfax BRT. They actually just successfully secured their funding for that from the FTA. So Colfax Main, kind of through the main part of Denver, and then there's a Colfax extension corridor to the east of the current Colfax corridor that they just funded before. And the 5th is State Highway 119, thank you, in Region 4 up toward Boulder. And that one is shortly under construction.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So one of the highlights, knowing these are not all in Arvada, they touch kind of Arvada, and they probably touch the general public in Arvada quite frequently, and that's our Region 1 West Metro Bridges replacement. We have about a $500 million bridge need for infrastructure improvements in Region 1. Lots of these bridges were constructed. They have exceeded their life. They're safe to drive on, but they are not in phenomenal. They need to be replaced. So the top corner on the right is the 32nd Avenue structure that was demolished. It's had a grand opening. The picture's on the bottom. That's the one over by Applejack Liquor and Hobby Lobby, and now the Lutheran Hospital. The other bridges that we currently have under construction, I-70 in Harlan, both those bridges are under construction. I-70 in Ward, you might have observed that one's under construction. And I-70 Colfax is close behind those. We're looking at some grants to replace those structures. So we are aggressively kind of ticking off our bridge need in the region. So, yes.
There's been 2 fires that I could recall from I-70 in Wadsworth. Has there been an increase in priority on that bridge, given the structural fires, or not structural, homeless
So
fires?
are you talking about the homeless encampment fire? Yes.
Yes.
So anytime we have a fire like that that's an emergency, we get our bridge staff out as well as our maintenance staff to go inspect the bridge. So that bridge actually has high structural integrity. The fire did not do damage that required replacement. So we do mitigative measures beneath to make sure that it's still safe to drive on and has, strong integrity. But it actually is okay, thank goodness. Yeah, so thanks for asking. And we really work hard. It's one of the things our maintenance team, unfortunately, does in Region 1 that we don't do statewide, and that's homeless cleanup. And Arvada's been a great partner. The police department supports our team when we go out and do removals. And it's really a good partnership to have kind of the police force with our maintenance staff. So we really appreciate their efforts. So thank you. Dialing deeper into Region 1, a couple of projects I'm excited about. So State Highway 72, also known as Ward Road, we will have a full-depth reconstruction from I-70 to 52nd Avenue in 2026. So that'll finish off that kind of resurfacing that we started. State Highway 121, also known as Wadsworth Boulevard. We did the resurfacing up to about 64th, and then 65th to 90th is next in line, 2028 or calendar year 2029 for that resurfacing, much needed. And then State Highway 93, West 58th Avenue north to 128. So a couple years ago, we did the resurfacing up to West 58th Avenue, and then we'll carry that forward north in the region. And with that, I'm going to introduce Angie Drum, Deputy Director of Traffic and Safety, to talk about safety and operations projects.
Thanks, Jessica. Good evening. So this slide really, I think, speaks to the partnership that CDOT and the City of Arvada have. As you can see on the recently completed list of projects, we have both a combination of City of Arvada-led projects that were funded, I think, primarily with federal safety funds, as well as sort of CDOT-led projects that all sort of, these are smaller on the surface, but they really kind of get to safety and operation improvements. On the right-hand side of the slide, you can see the ones that are under construction or that are coming up in the future. And again, you can see the combination of the ones that are going to be City of Arvada-led and then also the CDOT-led ones. And so just a couple of those ones to highlight under the CDOT column is State Highway 95, which is Sheridan and 64th intersection improvements. We are currently planning to go to AD in May of 2025, so we're working on the design of that right now, as well as State Highway 72 and 80th Avenue and State Highway 128 and Indiana and McCaslin signal upgrades. As you may be aware of, those are currently span wire, and whenever we get, winds, which is also, I'm sure you're aware of, we get quite a bit, the high winds, we have a lot of issues with those signals due to the span wire construction. So we're really looking forward to addressing those signals. And with that, I'll turn it back.
Great, thank you. One of the intersections that was worked on, and I've been able to drive through and really observe some tremendous pedestrian mobility, is the 66th and Wadsworth intersection that was on the list that Angie just showed. It's the one by Arvada High School, and there's a Starbucks on the corner, and I think a McDonald's. And I've seen, just the space that's been provided for push buttons. I've seen kids on bikes being able to reach the buttons. I've seen moms pushing strollers. And it just really makes a big difference. So they are small projects, but they're really, really mighty in impact to the traveling public and those trying to walk and ride places. So kind of wrapping up our Region 1 highlight, maintenance and operations. Crystal touched on this a little bit. You'll see in the photo on the right, that is a picture of a semi-truck that has overturned and spilled its load. We are really happy there was some great legislation passed around semi-trucks this year, driving in the right lane and also carrying chains. At the tunnel, we do have 24/7 operations, and we now have full firefighting capabilities. Snow fighting operations, what we plow, sand, and de-iced about 1.35 million miles. So it is a really big task in Region 1. Striping, 2,600 lane miles. Nighttime brooming operations, about 6,500 miles of shoulders, ramps, and flyovers. So one of our number one customer complaints, probably in the top 3 maybe, is just debris on the side of the road. So imagine you go out and clean your front yard, and it's beautiful, and the weeds are picked up, and you go to bed, and you wake up the next morning, and your neighbors dump their trash in your front yard. That's the challenge we have in Region 1. We go out and broom. I've had my team actually do video to kind of capture like you broomed it and how many days did it take to accumulate the trash on the shoulders, and it's about a week. So really, we ask the traveling public to secure their loads, and please make sure everything you have in the back of your truck or your car is attached or you throw it away before. So that takes a lot of time to do the brooming. Same with pothole repair, about 20,000 square yards of concrete and asphalt. Debris removal includes all of the mattresses and all of the things we find on the side of the road, car seats, shoes, chairs, as well as this includes our homeless encampment cleanup. So that is a really big effort. And then incident response, not surprisingly, 86% of the incident responses from around the state are in Region 1. So we carry the burden of crashes. And so we really are having an emphasized look at safety.
Councilmember Davis.
Thank you. Thank you for this, this important presentation. You were talking about the incidents, and I was just wondering, is CDOT working with the county and with the city and county of Jefferson County and city and county of Denver for when I-70 is closed going into the Lookout Mountain area, and then the big semis try to go back up through Lariat Loop to get down to the other side, and the trucks get stuck because they can't make all those turns. So I was just wondering how CDOT's coordinating signage maybe or information on the online, on your online alerts.
Yeah, so we have CoTrip, which is our mobile app. Also, in addition to the Floyd Hill advertisement, I'll advertise for CoTrip. If you don't have that app, please download it. It has a lot more real-time information sometimes than Google Maps has. You can do speeds, and there's also an opportunity for freight for CMV drivers to kind of log in and see what are appropriate routes for them. So we really rely on them to pick the appropriate route based on their truck size, height, and load. And with that, we just a picture of our team having some fun. Region 1, other deputy directors that are not here, Andy Stratton, he's our program delivery deputy director for engineering, and Sean Smith is our deputy director of maintenance. And that is our Region 1 team.
Great. I have one quick follow-up question. You noted some of the major projects coming in the remainder of the current 10-year plan. Thank you very much. That was very useful information. I'm curious as to when CDOT begins the process for the next 10-year plan, and what is the best way we can engage with you to be able to highlight some priorities we may have.
Yes, absolutely, and that's a great question. Thank you. We are starting to kick off the statewide transportation plan for 2050. So that's the precursor step to the 10-year plan. So you should be receiving information, hopefully in the next several months, about starting to really engage the public engagement process for that 2050 plan, and then subsequent to that, to be on the 10-year plan, you need to be in the 2050 plan. So subsequent to that, we're hoping by next December of 2025 to have that next tranche of projects in the 10-year plan.
Excellent. Thank you. Councilmember Pfeiffer.
I have an interesting role in this, but I have a different hat on tonight. First, I want to say I appreciate the city and CDOT working together when it's snow plow operations. I've seen both organizations help each other out. I think it's just, hey, when it's happening, it's awesome to see everyone just put down their blade and push snow. I see City on Indiana, I see CDOT using 64th, and it's just really great to see that relationship. So hopefully that keeps going. And then the other thing for me, and I know Jessica, you and I have talked about it, Don, you and I have talked about it, council has, is the bridge over Indiana. That's going to be a sore wound. And I know everyone in this room is probably involved in some form or another. So I think that's important just to get the throughput in the area. And then also, I don't know what the update is with Ralston Valley and that signal on 80th, you know, the traffic jam. School's about to start this week on Friday or Thursday, and, you know, that intersection gets really jammed up. And I know CDOT's done its thing, because Angie, you and I talked, I think you've adjusted signal timing the best you can. I know the city's been talking to the school about egress, ingress. Has there been any progress with the school district in improving flow? Because I don't know if CDOT can do any more. I think it's really on the school district now.
Councilmember Pfeiffer, as you mentioned, we have been working with the CDOT team on the signal timing. I know that the PD was in contact with the school district, and I would need to follow up on that, and I can get back to you
Okay.
about what the current status is.
Okay, yeah, if we can just keep focused on that, because I just get more and more complaints about delays of kids getting to school and then people trying to get to work, and that intersection just messes us up. But I've been through there, and it's the school's problem, and the school needs to deal with it. So I think that would be that. The other thing is I used to drive on Ward Road all the time. I used to live on 56th and Ward. That bridge project is great. That's all I can say. I mean, I don't have to worry about homeless because it's a straight wall. The way it's designed, it's so much better. I know it's not done yet, but it is a huge improvement in that area. And if that's what we can anticipate for future bridges, I mean, all the communities benefit with that when those are redone. So I really do. Even though there's been a lot of construction, there hasn't been really issues, which is amazing for the most part. So no, I appreciate that. And I appreciate the team working with CDOT. I know you guys meet quite a bit, so thank you.
Thank you. I echo the comments about Indiana and that bridge. I know we'll have more conversations about that. Mayor Pro Tem Mormon.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the presentation this evening. I do have one area that I wanted to raise and ask about, and that's Wadsworth and 77th. So that's where Little Dry Creek crosses Wadsworth, and that's where I hear a lot about bike commuters that have really struggled getting across and worried about getting hit in that process. And I understand that we have done some community outreach of late trying to redesign that area. So it may be more of a question to our city team about what's the update and status on that.
We do have a feasibility study that's underway for that exact issue now. And so we will be able to provide you a more detailed update on that if you would like, but that's a project that the team is working on.
Great. And I assume in coordination with CDOT then, since it's Wadsworth. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you. We appreciate the partnership.
Thank you.
Hey, Jessica, can I ask, I'm sorry, can we ask you one more question? Sorry. I remember because I think John asked all of us, Mr. Marriott's not here tonight, but he asked us to ask a question about if there was any updates on Kipling and I-70 interchange.
Sure.
And kind of what the status is on that.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
So that is generally within the city of Wheat Ridge. It was an older, it's actually not quite as old as the 6 and Wadsworth NEPA. I believe the I-70 Kipling NEPA was done in about 2018. A diverging diamond interchange is what is recommended there, which really relieves the left turns. That is a similar interchange configuration that's at US 36 in McCaslin. So if you ever want to experience the future of I-70 Kipling, it will feel a lot like that. It is in our 10-year plan. It is currently in the out years. We did have some design dollars up front that we've been working with. Recently, we've heard from City of Wheat Ridge, and they're looking at a couple of the hotels in that area to see if they're going to reuse them or repurpose them. At one point in time, they were identified as acquisitions. So we're really working with the city to make sure that, you know, given the passage of time and all the changes that have happened since 2018, we keep, you know, their best interest at our forefront while trying to move the interchange project ahead. It is probably, I imagine that it will stay on the plan. Those bridges are in, the decks really need some repair. We have had some emergency repairs, which really makes traveling along the I-70 corridor a challenge. and they always seem to happen on Friday afternoon at 5. So we are looking at doing kind of an interim Band-Aid solution just to rehab the decks of those structures to kind of hold them over for the next 5 to 7 years. But the full interchange replacement is in the 10-year plan for 27 plus. So I imagine it will stay there, but it will still be several years before we get to the actual reconstruction. And we're doing some fundraising too. So imagine we'll pursue a grant and some other things to kind of move that one along.
Thank you very much,
You're
Ms.
welcome.
Mickelbust. All right. So our next presentation, our next workshop is going to be on our Sidewalk Repair Assistance Program. Mr. Wick.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to introduce Chris Lesberg, who is our Assistant City Engineer, who will be providing the workshop tonight.
Welcome, Mr. Lesberg.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. This evening, I would like to bring forth an idea on behalf of the team. You'll see that pretty much everybody that's left is a bit of a contributor here. And we'd really like to hear your thoughts and listen to feedback on our proposed idea that you'll see here later in the slide deck, and maybe even get a little bit of a dialogue started. I do want to acknowledge the team members that are present. We do have an individual from our streets group, a few from our pavement program, legal, housing, and our community and economic development group as well, all contributors to the conversation. And what we do have to lay out is a little bit of a framework, because we really did want to set you guys up for some input right out of the gate. So without further ado, this evening's topics will be sidewalk in Arvada today, the city ordinances. While it is robust, our city code, there's just a couple sections that we pulled out to highlight as it's pertinent to this. Discuss how our sidewalks are addressed here in the city today, a little bit of background on the program that we had, 50/50, the cost-sharing program, and then, of course, get into our idea for presentation. Sidewalks in Arvada today. We have 5 million linear feet of sidewalks. To try to make that a little more manageable number, it's about 950 million miles. Or, wow, I added an M in there. Too many M's. 950 miles. Of that, the width isn't quite cutting it to meet ProWAG for over 500 miles. That's about 55% of our system, and throughout the Denver metro area, for some of these older communities, we're kind of right in there with our other communities. To upgrade those to ProWAG compliant width, or about 4 feet, would be about $385 million. That is a planning level number, and why do I table that in planning level? Well, to take us back a couple years to a slide that I presented before, it comes with its host of complications in a retrofit environment, right? To go out into the street, we're going to affect some existing infrastructure and potentially parking for our communities. If we try to go out, we're starting to affect some of the functional items that they have, such as driveways or sprinkler systems, and more of the decorative items too. Not to mention potentially some other infrastructure, whether it be water meters or water lines. Our network is not complete. In our latest comp plan, it was identified about 25 miles of missing sidewalk, which we, of course, are always trying to maximize our funds to fill those gaps. A little bit of a success story in the last 5 years. We've been able to capture $4.5 million in grant funds in an effort to do that. But definitely wanted to highlight for just a moment that the costs to accomplish this work can vary pretty significantly. Here in the bottom of this slide, you'll see 3 prices of the 3 most recent missing sidewalk projects to put about a quarter mile of sidewalk in. It's a big outlier there on the left, but it isn't uncommon to have significant swings from project to project.
Mr. Lesberg, why is that such an outlier? Did it have geographical complications?
It's a lot of contributing factors. Right away, for instance, is one of them in that one, but there's a few others. I could definitely send some more data tomorrow morning on each of these particular projects that these were pulled from.
Thank you.
On to some city ordinances. Just a quick reminder, and this is just a snippet, of course, that it is really the responsibility of every adjacent property owner to repair, reconstruct, and maintain the curb gutter and sidewalk. Now, there's a cost-sharing program that's set up, and we'll get into the history of that in just a moment, setting up citizens with a 50-50 cost share, both city and themselves. Of course, timing is everything. If we have a project that's going in a couple years or the pavement programs come in, as you probably well know, we often do sidewalk repairs or replacements in anticipation of that work. Or, of course, so we can refund a customer if they went ahead and executed that work right before we came through to in need of replacement. They can hire their own contractor, we can do it, and obviously both parties reimburse whichever direction is appropriate. And how are sidewalk needs addressed today? We have a few different methods in which we touch this important asset. Even though it is put via code on the property owner, there are many needs, many times for the city to need to touch it. Our streets field team is incredibly responsive. They get inquiries from the public and go out and respond, get eyes on it, and at times temporarily mitigate. You'll see here in the picture in the upper left, they ground down some displacements that were creating tripping hazards to make a flush surface. Our pavement program ahead of time is up as far as up to 2 years ahead of time. We'll go in and replace concrete to help facilitate the installation of the asphalt and, of course, protect the new asset that's going in. Our CIP projects often have sidewalk programmed in, if not the lead objective of a project, or try to tackle ADA issues in the direct adjacency of the project. Our missing sidewalk program we touched on just a little bit earlier. Developments, of course, do their part. In this case, you can see in teeny tiny picture, there is a substantial run of sidewalk that Haskin Station's putting in, so they're definitely doing their part. Another responsive avenue that we get out there after it is our ADA grievances. If a customer in need calls in, we try to act fast to try to remove the barriers that they may be experiencing. And lastly, enforcement, of course, plays a role here as well. As far as the 50-50 background, this was a program that was started back in the 80s, and we've grown a bit, right? We've grown by about 50% since then. When it was originated, it was intended and targeted towards low-income households to really support them and their needs, and to aid in removal of hazard mitigation, but also as an incentive to support them to make those revisions and those updates that are needed. It had a $100,000 budget, which you can see here is a substantially amount more in 2024 dollars. And it was intended for just residential homeowners at the time. Like many things in life, it changed and evolved. Installment payments were enacted into the program at an interest rate not to exceed 8%. And in the early 2000s, the program was expanded to be all property owners within the city and interest-free installments. In 2019 into 2020, the CMO's Process Ninjas took a look at this program and started to suggest and gain some tractions on revisions for this. But at the time, it was a changing environment, whether it be within the regulations, but also at about this time period, the city got its first draft ADA transition plan, and the group decided to put a pause on that work until the dust could settle on some of the changes that were needed there, both policy-wise and as far as just the changing landscape of it. And we discontinued in 2022 with that news. But to give a snapshot of what it looked like right beforehand, there were 76 requests to the program in 2020, 34 of which were served, and 6 of those were HOAs or businesses. 1,300 linear feet were replaced, and it's pie chart night. So CDOT had one, I've got one of my own, and this is really to show the significant difference in a couple of our different programs. Our pavement program puts down 90,000 linear feet of sidewalk in this year of question, 2020, as opposed to the 1,300 linear feet. Now, obviously, this is just a very small piece of the pie, but we acknowledge that it might be the most important one. It's really our community members that are in need at an individual level that this could support. So without further ado, we wanted to discuss our idea. This is just a foundational base level, but we would propose a program in which it would create an avenue for qualified individuals to have 100% funding assistance. We could potentially utilize a grant in the Community Development Block Grant to help fund this, with some standalone funds potentially from the city to create consistency in the program year in and year out. Just a reminder, the Community Development Block Grant are for efforts that either principally benefit low and moderate income persons, aid in the prevention or elimination of slums or blight, or meet a community development need having a particular urgency. Using these types of grant funds, our team has found is pretty consistent throughout other municipalities. This is a common usage for this funding source. So we would envision that either through a touch point with our housing group for individuals that are already seeking assistance, or the many other touch points that other groups have around the city with potentially income qualified individuals, they would come to us. We would, the housing group could potentially support in determining their eligibility for this program and adding them to the 100% funded assistance list. This, of course, would be pointed towards low-income individuals or moderately income individuals in need. So we would probably shy away from no HOAs or businesses, but again, we look forward to hearing your input on the many details as it pertains to items such as this. Just to try to give a frame of reference for the grant, the income limitations for this grant would be $71,000 for a single-person household and $102,000 for a four-person household. That is intended to be a maximum that captures both low income and moderate income as well. Of course, not everybody would be qualified, and if an individual did not qualify for this program, we would anticipate that it would be 100% citizen cost. But we do still want to bring value to those individuals as well. If you've ever tried to get a contractor at your home for a very little amount of work, like a hole in my drywall, that's going to be impossible, or I'm going to pay out the nose to get somebody to come out. So we would anticipate and be hopeful that we could fold these users into our city contracts so they could take advantage of not only avoiding the hassle of trying to find someone that would do such small work, but also benefit from the unit costs that the city gets on its volume. And then, of course, we would also like to entertain the idea of potential rebate. Again, those individuals that went out and paid and did the work themselves right before, say, a CIP project or the pavement program comes through. While this would be an income-based qualification, we did want to highlight where we would anticipate the bulk of our customers being. So it is in no way, shape, or form geography-based, but you can see here that we would anticipate a bulk of our customers being in the southeast corner of the city. And by our estimates with some federal data, we would anticipate that potentially 55,000 households within the city would be eligible or qualified for this program. Just to give you an idea, just throwing a dollar amount at the wall, we wanted to at least present what your money would get for you. For, say, $500,000, that is our estimate of 4,500 linear feet of sidewalk. Or say in an example shown on the screen, you might be able to note that in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a couple sidewalk panels, we call them, or basically about 12 feet of sidewalk that's in need of attention. So at this funding level, we could support 250 households with like conditions like this. Now, that's not to say there's not going to be households that have complete failure across their entire frontage, but just to try to set up an example here.
Councilmember Frey.
Thank you. So I know you said there's a range, but like for this type of sidewalk replacement, what would the cost be?
For this individual one?
Yeah.
Okay, let me backtrack some numbers. Well, I can tell you that per linear foot, it's about $100. That's just sidewalk, removing the asphalt and patching. There are some soft costs as well in there that the contractor would need to add, such as traffic control and mobilizing their equipment to the site. If I can get back to you tomorrow morning with my math, I know I'm going to botch it in front of the camera.
It's fine. I was just trying to think about how much it would cost. So say it's $20,000, and the max income for the family of four that you're proposing is $100,000. That's a fifth of
20% of their income for the year.
Right. So that's where I'm trying to figure out the math.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. That's a good comparison. I like that. With a program like this, it comes with its advantages and disadvantages, and we really do like the advantages of an approach like this. We believe that it would be responsive. We also believe that through a partnership with our housing division, it would really create an opportunity for many more touch points for this program with the citizens in need, as they're the ones that are typically answering the phones and tending to the needs of individuals such as that. The potential grant funding is obviously also attractive. It's also returning the program to being targeted on residents in need as opposed to the one that became more widespread with its evolution. But for those that would not meet the requirements of qualification, it does give them access to our cost-effective contractors and may also support our code enforcement team as well. Some of the disadvantages, and we're still working through this with the latest publication of ProWag, but we may end up in a situation where we're replacing in kind, at times not addressing our ADA or ProWag requirements. It is still obviously a reactive program, and acknowledging that we're still on the learning curve part of this, but the grants would likely come with federal requirements, potentially environmental clearances. And it, of course, doesn't address by design the whole network needs. It's really intended as pointed to individuals in need. With that, that's kind of the completion of the presentation today. I did want to close with our excitement for the potential here, and acknowledge that we're not bringing a tremendous amount, and the intent here was to maybe start a dialogue or hear your feedback, hear what you like about the previous program, maybe didn't like, would like to see. Anything at all, we would appreciate your input.
Councilmember Pfeiffer, you were first.
Yeah, so I actually participated in this program back in like 2002, and I lived on a corner. So the city, well, back then the city actually let me have my driveway dip, which I guess that's not what we're doing anymore. But I was excited for that. But living on a corner, it cost me like $5 or $7 grand, I think, by the 50/50 program. It was quite a bit, but it was a lot cheaper than, getting my own contractor to just let the city do it and just pay the city. But what I would, knowing through that experience, one thing is, and that sticks in my head, is just the compliance for ADA compliance. And I know you showed a quick picture of, man, we'd have to do the whole block. You can't just bump out one house or take in, well, you probably could take in on one house, but really creating, it's actually the first one we show the road, if you took the sidewalk out into the road. Yeah, that one. This one really resonates because this is kind of like the problem we need to solve, but it's such a big, it's like boiling the ocean issue, right? We'll never be able to do it. But we could do it one bite at a time depending on our strategies. And one bite could be corners. I know corners are a challenge in the conversation, but if a resident wants their sidewalk replaced and they're on a corner of a street like I had on 84th and Benton, we should talk to them a little bit more that, hey, we're going to have to get the right angle, the degrees, the dip, and everything else. You're going to have to give up a little of your property. So at least our corners is getting more ADA compliant. I get the whole block can't switch, but I really just recently, having the lady that was trying to get to our mailbox and fell and stuff, just being a little bit more aware. And with the light you're doing on Candelas, you're redoing the sidewalks, the corners, which is so exciting because it was, for those that don't know, it's a hard curb with the ramps on the side, and the sidewalk comes out onto the hard drop. So if you're in a wheelchair or anything like that, you absolutely are going to fall. The fact that we're addressing that portion, I think, is our biggest risk when it deals with those that are disabled and need that slope. Maybe what I would add to this program is if they're at a corner that they give some little bit more right of way to that corner to give you the angles you need or whatever. But maybe if we can think through those that live on corner, that we implement some encouragement, or at least that part, to be ADA compliant. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I think we can get a bang for the buck. I don't think we're going to solve this picture right away. I think this is a big conversation.
This is the one that keeps me up at night.
Yeah, this one does for me too, because either way, you don't win. Either way, it's going to be a huge, and I can't even imagine getting through one block. What the conversations will be with the folks. I mean, we just dealt with Ralston Road on a different, but this will be a lot, I think, harder for us to get to. So maybe we can do something around the corners. I think that might be something like, if I was that property owner, I'd been, okay, you're going to take an extra foot on the curvature or the radius. I'm going to have to move some sprinklers or whatever. Okay, I might be okay with that just to make that corner safer. I think a lot of the residents that live on corner understand that a little bit more, and maybe we can at least make that part compliant. That would be my suggestion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Mormon, you were next.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. I had a couple questions. So If I followed along correctly, your proposal is to fund a sidewalk replacement with community development block grant money, correct?
I think that's one of the items that we'd definitely like to open up a dialogue around. While that would be a potential source, and we still want to put the final touches on that full exploration, that those funds may not be available every single year consistently.
Right.
And the last thing we'd want to do is set ourselves up with a program that has a significant backlog out years, as we do really want this to be geared towards responsiveness. So when it comes down to it, we would probably request some form of funding that would at least create consistency, that we know and can forecast the amount of work we'll get done every year, with potentially the grant funding either substituting our own city funds or maybe adding the icing on cake.
So you had said, I wrote down 55,000 households would be eligible. That's annually that we would be looking at? Talk me through that a little bit more. I'm sorry, I wasn't following.
Yeah,
closely.
so from data that I think that we've kind of confirmed with the HUD, but through the CDBG's website, they have a robust GIS system, and they can identify, their sources are unknown to me, but they can identify the income levels of houses, and within the Arvada district, they estimated 20,000 and 38,000 being, or 35,000, excuse me, being either low or moderate income that would qualify at those levels.
So
that
it'd
I
be
mentioned.
total over a certain time. Okay. Because my question is, back to money, how much money are we talking to service 55,000 households? And over how many years, would we be giving out if it's potentially CBDG grants?
Yeah.
What are we looking at? Is this over 10 years, over 20 years, and how much money each year are we estimating we'd be giving out for that?
I think that would all live in the next steps for us
Okay.
if this is an idea that you'd like us to continue to pursue and potentially endorse.
Because, also then it becomes a question of, well, what are we taking away from our, our community development block grant program to do this? What are we going to have to say no to that
Yeah.
we've maybe been funding consistently in the past? So that's going to be the rub, right?
Yeah.
And then I guess, what comes to mind when we talk about sidewalks for me is the Denver ballot initiative that passed 2 years ago. So is that something that you're considering at all and want to present as an option to us to look at?
That is definitely something that's been tip of tongue for some time for us, and we are reaching out to City and County of Denver to try to get some meetings to discuss it further. There are some trepidations that we have. Number one, you've seen that City and County of Denver passed that not too long ago, but it has been an amount of time, and they're still forecasting that the plan won't be complete for another year and a half. So we were erring more on a program that could start in short order as opposed to have that lengthy legwork. I personally have some concerns around envisioning Denver being a highly urbanized environment where Arvada has a bit of a mix, and that maybe sidewalks aren't necessarily wanted everywhere. And the dilemma and unfolding that might be kind of interesting for the community.
Okay, thank you.
If I
Go,
could
please.
quickly add, Mayor, as far as CDBG, we have a little bit of grant funding that remains at the end of each year, and so that's what we're hoping to potentially allocate to this program. Right now, we do allocate the majority of our funding to the Essential Home Repairs Program that Brothers Redevelopment runs for us. We use what we can to cover administrative fees for the work that we contribute to the grant, and we also contribute approximately $75,000 annually out of CDBG to support the Human Services Grant Program. And over the last few years, we've had a remaining amount of funding, 100,000 or less remaining that we are interested in contributing. So that, as far as CDBG, is what we would be looking to allocate to this program potentially.
Thank you. Councilmember Pfeiffer, is your light a follow-up on this item? Okay, go ahead. All right, because we have two other lights, so if we're, all right, Councilmember Ambrose.
Yeah, thank you for this presentation. I'm interested in you pursuing it in this manner. The two things I would want to also see, though, is what it would look like to have small and local businesses, because that can also be a pretty tremendous cost to, especially in Old Town Arvada, although we have the bid and other ways to keep up. They might have access to different funding or urban redevelopment if there's blight. But I just want to make sure that business owners who are really core part of Arvada aren't quite left out. And then so that's one thing I'd like to look into. And then the snapshot that you provided from the 50/50 program in 2020, is that significantly different? Because, city government shut down in March of 2020, right? And so we didn't do, I assume we weren't still doing concrete because of the pandemic, right? So
I would have to look into the details around this program.
Okay.
And maybe Keith can speak to it, but I can reaffirm with you that 2020s and 2021s and 2022s data all looked very similar.
okay, that's kind of what I was going to ask, if it was like 2020 looked any different than the
No.
other years, or if this is a good representative year. Of
It was a good representative
Okay.
year, yeah.
All right. But I appreciate you looking into especially the income qualification of how many households are in Arvada altogether?
That's a good question.
Is it?
That's it. We have about 51,000 units, housing units.
Okay.
We have about 125,000 residents.
So,
I cannot do that math.
okay.
As to what the household
So
is.
about a quarter to a third of Arvada households would be eligible to call in for having their sidewalk totally replaced with this income?
I don't, again,
I
math,
think
not
so.
my strength, but I think you're pretty close.
Yeah.
So, Councilmember Davis. Apologies, Councilmember Davis.
Thank you. Thank you for this. I am an infrastructure wonk, so I really like this. A couple questions I have. Would the homeowner need to get a permit for the sidewalk replacement, even if they're using the city's contractor?
Detail for us to get to, but I doubt it.
Okay. And so we were, Councilmember Pfeiffer was talking about corners. And in my neighborhood, all the corners along 66th were redone. And then within 4 months, they were all torn up and redone again. And I was told it was because of CDOT specs that had changed and that the city was unaware of. So I want to make sure that if we do something with the ADA compliance, CDOT compliance, that we make sure that we're using the most up-to-date information so that we don't have to redo things. That would be super helpful. And I think that's, what about corners in the city that have city infrastructure? So for example, in my neighborhood, a lot of the corners have stormwater drains in them and worker access lids. So if we wanted to replace our corners, that might be something that would be, we might have to think about.
Yes, that is something top of mind even today, as we have not gone down the road of widening into the street versus widening out yet. We are out there replacing curb ramps on the regular basis, and you'll probably also note that those often are quite snug, and often we are having to place, say, a curb ramp in a less than optimal location because that's the only place that it could go, given some of the other infrastructure there, without turning the corner into a $150,000 problem.
Councilmember Davis, are you good? Okay, Councilmember Frey.
Thank you. Thank you for this. This is very helpful and exciting. I love where your head is at. The income threshold, where it's kind of, no, we're not going to give you any money, versus, yes, we'll 100% fund it. I think there's a middle ground that we could probably find. The previous program had a zero interest loan. I think that's a really great way for other residents that are over the income limit to still participate in a city program that city dollars are going to. So that way, everyone's kind of included. I was just trying to do the math of, an average price of the home, take $20,000 for the sidewalk repair, that leaves you with about $47,000 left in the bank for the year.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure people that want to do this improvement can, if we go the zero interest loan. And just to Councilmember Ambrose's point about the businesses, I think because AIDA already has that grant for exterior improvement, we could focus more on the residents with that. So I think if we steer away from an existing grant for the businesses, that would make more sense. And that's all I have.
Councilmember, Councilmember Ambrose, would you like to respond?
Yeah, just one thing, I mean, I appreciate that, you know, in working with AIDA, we don't want to overlap, but also I think people who are renters, who have sidewalks, and then we have to work with landlords, and those are businesses and HOAs. That's kind of where I was thinking too, like some of our affordable housing, I think, should have access to good sidewalks as well. But the small businesses, definitely with AIDA, sure.
Councilmember Pfeiffer.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I know you guys haven't figured out like how the funding would quite work. I'm a little nervous about CDBG funds, like Mayor Pro Tem Mormon brought up. But I'm wondering is there a thought that if there's like a pool of money that is seeded and you will spend it as requests come in, or maybe code catches something that maybe could be used? Or are you looking at spending the whole budget down every year? Because I think it's two different things. If we can seed the money and you can backfill it with some of the CDBG or AIDA funds or something else, then you have this continuous pool that people can use, and we don't just burn it down every year, and it slowly chips away. And I do agree with Councilmember Frey on the 0% interest, because you have people that could pay for infrastructure, and it entices them to maybe fix their sidewalks because it's 0% interest from the city. I think there's a benefit that just helps us chip away at this huge problem we have with sidewalks. So just some thoughts around the funding. I'd be interested if we seeded the money as part. I hate to say this because you know what? Brian's not here, so I'm allowed to say anything I say. I looked beyond you, Don. So, but take some of the general funds, put the seed money you need to get the year going, and then fill it in. I think that's an easier hit for us to deal with that and keep it a sustainable program for years, decades. I do think we need to do something, so I appreciate you guys putting this in front of us and letting us look at it. But that's my thought, is seed it with some general funds and then go from there.
Thank you. Councilmember Ambrose.
Sorry, I don't know if this is getting too down into the weeds of sidewalks, but I was
I'll fully
thinking-
admit, we haven't gotten there yet ourselves.
Okay.
We wanted to come in with a blank slate and not bias or married to a certain idea, so.
Okay, I was wondering about what would qualify for 100% funding, or like, because I can imagine a resident calling being like, I need you to replace my whole sidewalk because I'm a wheelchair user and I just need it to be bigger, right? And then you'd be like, well, that's not quite eligible, because what this program is about is if there's a big hole in the sidewalk or something like that, or somebody saying, oh, my sidewalk is the worst state ever, and then you come look at it and you're like, oh, we could probably seal this and you could probably get by for a few years, you know? So just like how you would negotiate those different things between what residents want to take advantage of and what you're like, this is priority, this is the resources, this is what our standards are.
Yeah, as far as the physical condition of what we'll replace or what we won't, it is a tiny bit subjective, but for the most part, we have written criteria for all our programs, which is consistent. If we're going out and doing a warranty walk on a CIP project, or for, say, the pavement program, crack width, crack height that creates a tripping hazard or displacement, spalling, is it spalled over 75% of the concrete and it's just a matter of time before it gets much worse. So we would probably want to be proactive, and probably can be today, in publishing that criteria.
Okay, thank you. I see no more lights, so I guess it's my turn then. All right, so I think my colleagues covered a lot of it. First and foremost, thank you, Mr. Lisberg. The great presentation. We're very glad to be looking at this issue. My thoughts generally rely around, kind of to the point Councilmember Foray was making, that I struggle a little bit with, you said 102,000 for a family of four would be the income limit?
And that is capturing low and moderate income by that federal.
I struggle with, we could have 100% replacement for somebody, a family of four making 102,000 a year, but not a family of four making 103,000 a year. It's such a fine, or such a hard demarcation line. I'd almost be more interested in seeing a program where we did 100% for our low-income residents, 50-50 for our moderate income residents, and maybe even bring that bracket higher, because I believe in Arvada, average income, household income is actually much maybe about 110,000 now. It's kind of shocking, and cost of living certainly has gone up as well. So maybe being able to expand the moderate income bracket in a 50-50 category, and then for upper middle and high income residents, no assistance. And I also really like the recommendation of a 0% loan, particularly for those higher income residents who maybe they have student loans or for some other reason why they wouldn't be able to front the whole cost up front, but could in the longer term. And then another thought that occurs to me is a 0% loan is great, particularly for those in the middle class range, but for those perhaps in the truly upper income brackets, a 1 to 3% income loan that could create some long-term sustainability for the funding mechanism. So I like that, and I know that certainly is a common model. I believe some of the urban renewals, such as Denver, engage in a 1 to 3% loan, so I like that. Perhaps CBDG funds for the near term, just so that we have a little bit more time to take a look at the long term and see what our various options are for keeping this sustainable. Mayor Pro Tem Mormon.
Sorry, I just thought of another question. So what, I'm always trying to think, what are our neighbors doing in regards to this? Can you kind of give a high-level view of how other municipalities are handling this? I mean, we talked about Denver, but aside from that, what's Westminster, Wheat Ridge, Golden, how are they handling this?
We haven't quite touched on that a little bit. Carrie, can you speak at all to the communities that are using CDBG funds in a similar fashion?
So we reached out to our HUD rep to have this conversation to see if they can point us in the direction of communities that are have similar programs. And what we're finding is that some have had it in the past. They have reallocated their funds elsewhere. So we're looking at identifying municipalities in the Denver metro area, but it is a common program nationally. And we've reached out to those communities to find out how they've tailored their program. So a lot more to come on how others are doing it. To Mayor Simpson's point about offering different packages to folks, we did have our essential home repairs program designed like that in the past before we made the transition over to Brothers Redevelopment. So those types of programs are allowable under the CDBG program.
Okay,
Thank you, Ms. Espinoza. All right, Councilmember Pfeiffer. I think so, but go ahead.
So I appreciate this workshop, and let me explain why I appreciate this workshop. It's because the dialogue, you don't have to have all the answers. I don't expect the team to have every answer. What I appreciate is you kind of create a skeleton, and then we can kind of talk through that and give some guidance. And I can't recall how many workshops we've had that have had this much dialogue back and forth. And we don't want to get all the way into the weedies of everything, but I think the team coming to us and letting us have that conversation has been very impactful. And I appreciate you not having all the answers. That's what a workshop's about. So all of you, even you, Carrie, you don't need to solve it all here, but you at least know the trajectory we would like to see you go into. And then when you come back, it just makes it a better plan. So again, thank you for keeping this workshop a little loose and letting us have that two-way conversation.
We love a direction to go, so thank you for that.
All right, perfect. Do you feel you have the right direction, or do you want to?
We've got plenty to work on.
Perfect.
We look forward to being in touch some more, whether it be our Friday memos or other avenues. So thank you so much for your time and input. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lisberg. All right, that concludes our workshops for this evening. Are there any updates from the team, Mr. Wick?
The only thing I have tonight is your next workshop is August 26th on the 2025 water, wastewater, and stormwater rates and fees. And if you ever need to refer back to this, of course, this is attached to your council packet, but that will be your next workshop.
Wonderful, thank you.
That's all. Thank
Ms.
you.
Morris?
Nothing from me, Your Honor.
All right, then we're adjourned.